What's up, guys? Corey Barrier here, sales CEO. And so, sales coaching has never had this much attention, this much demand as of than it is right now. Why? Because people are starting to understand that, always be closing is not the way you sell these days. It's just not, right? You want to lead the customer to you want to leave you want to lead the customer to the answer you want, not the answer they want, right? And if you're just trying to close the sale so you can get to your next appointment, if you're trying to close the sale so you can get to so you can get home, get on the golf course, whatever that looks like, what does that mean? That means that you're focused on the external. You're focused on the outcome. You're focused on the things that you shouldn't be focused on. Now, we all work for money, obviously, but we also work for impact. We also work to change other people's lives. That's what you should be doing anyway, in my opinion. So I think it's important that you leverage your team's strengths and make sure that if you have a weak link on your team, that you recognize it and either try to fix it or eliminate it. Guess what? Not everybody's going to work out. Not everybody is your ideal employee, right? Salespeople are some of the most amazing people I've ever met. Now, are there shitbags in the sales industry? Absolutely. Are there shitbags in every industry? Absolutely. But for whatever reason, people believe salespeople are the only people that, or maybe not the only people, but they feel like that salespeople are only out for the money. They're only out to sell their product or service for their own benefit. Here's what I'd like to think. Here's how I'd like for you to think about this. The reality is you're selling somebody a product or service because you believe that it is going to enrich their life. You believe that it's going to change the direction of their business. For me, I change people's revenue, right? We map out your 90-day revenue goals and then we execute on those steps. And then there's 9 steps in the process. I'm not going to go through all that right now, but the point is that coaching is one of the most important things that you can have. Listen, when I decided to part ways with my ex-partner in the medical spa, if I would have known about coaching at the time, if I would have known about consulting at the time, the outcome may have been different. It may not have been different, but I believe it probably would have been different. Here's the thing. I mean, I struggled. I struggled because I tried to do everything in the business. And that's because that's how we had it set up. I thought I could handle everything: inventory, employees, payroll, everything. And so it doesn't work, folks. It just doesn't work. But when you begin in business, lots of times you're wearing all those hats and it's just part of the deal. But you really got to figure out what is your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Do not focus on the weaknesses. Don't try to get better at your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths, improving your strengths, growing your strengths, making sure those become, stronger. It doesn't make sense to focus on something you suck at. For me, I suck at organization when it comes to certain things. So I pay people to do that for me. And look, I'm not a great note writer. Like, I have a podcast and I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, and quite frankly, I just do not want to write my podcast notes. However, I do pay somebody to do that because it would be stupid and I would lose money trying to write the podcast notes. So 6 benefits of sales coaching. Let's talk about that for a second. The first thing is that you want to show up authentically. And we hear authenticity all the time. But the truth is you show up like you. You show up like the real person. You don't fake confidence. You don't have gimmicky sales tactics. You just show up as you. Deliver the presentation on your product or service because you know it's going to benefit them. Now, if it doesn't benefit the customer, don't sell it to them. If you're not comfortable with what you're selling, stop fucking selling it because you are not going to be successful selling something that doesn't align with you. There's no congruency there. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you do because it's super important. The other thing, demonstrate empathy, right? What does that mean? I don't mean sympathy, I mean empathy. That means I can understand, Mr. Customer, exactly how you feel because I felt the same way when I had somebody trying to close me on something that I didn't really enjoy. And they weren't listening to me and it made me feel like shit. So I understand exactly how you feel, right? That's just an example. Number 3, you want to ask customer driven questions. You want to ask very good questions that will draw out the answers that you're looking for. Now, this goes for sales and negotiation. And this is super important because at the end of the day, if you can't articulate what it is you're trying to get across to the other person and they can't understand it, I would argue you're falling on deaf ears. So think about this, right? When you're talking to a prospect, and if you notice the prospect saying, do you see what I'm saying? Or you hear the prospect say, do you hear what I'm saying? Or you hear the prospect say, do you feel what I'm saying? Now, here's the reason this is super important. If I say, do you see what I'm saying, which I say that all the time, it means I'm a more visual learner. That means I learn by seeing, right? I don't learn necessarily by hearing. Okay. The second one, I hear what you're saying. We can figure this out. This is not rocket science. That means you're auditory. That means you learn by hearing. You can listen to an audio book and absorb it. For me, I need to watch a video and listen to it. So what that means, that leads me to the third one, which is kinesthetic. I'm more kinesthetic than anything, which means I need to touch it, feel it, see it, and hear it to absorb it. So the other thing, okay, so you want to leverage whoever you're working with, whatever coach you're working with, you want to leverage their strengths, right? And you want to look for that in when you're hiring someone. If you have someone who is fantastic at follow up and you suck at follow up, that might be the person for you. If you have somebody that sucks at or you suck at closing, then maybe the follow up guy is not really your guy. Maybe you're great at following up, you're just not great at closing the deal. So find somebody that can effectively walk with you through this path, or on this path, not through it, on this path that's going to strengthen your current, what you're currently doing, strengthen the things that you suck at. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you align with that person's beliefs. In other words, do they believe the same thing that you believe? Do you believe this? Do you believe X to be true? Do they believe X to be true? Do they believe that we should work with people that we align with? Do they believe that they should work with anybody? Because guess what? If you work for anybody and everybody, you work for no one. And let me be very clear on what I mean by that. So when I first started working with people, I felt like I needed to work with anybody that would pay me, right? And a lot of people think that way. A lot of people think that if I work with anyone, I'm going to be successful. And plus, I cast a wide net out there, and that means I'm going to nail someone, right? Wrong. Why do you think that is? Well, I'll tell you why it is. Because what happens is you speak to no one, right? If I want to work with somebody on their sales process, I need to speak about their sales process. If I want to work with somebody about effectively following up, I need to talk about effectively following up, right? Both of those things we cover in my Sales CEO Syndicate group coaching program. And by the way, you can download my one-page Objection Crusher cheat sheet in that link that keeps ticking by. It says CoreyTheSalesCEO.com/OCC sheet. So at the end of the day, one other thing I did want to talk about is, I find it interesting that managers, when a company brings me in to work with them, sometimes the managers don't want anything to do with it. Now, why do you think that is? Because they do not want to be exposed. They don't want to be exposed by the expert. And I will expose people. Like, I have zero problem saying you need to cut this person off of your team. I don't care if he's your best friend. He's fucking you. He's ruining your company. He's absolutely costing you far more money than you can even imagine. For example, here's the amount he cost you last month by not following up, $108,000. Here's what he cost you 2 months ago when he dropped the ball and didn't do XYZ at this house or home or whatever, right? And it cost you $28,000. Now, I mean, maybe you got deep enough pockets. None of that shit matters. But look, if I'm going to lose $108,000, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to be pretty pissed about that. My cigar is about to go out. So if you want to learn how to be a sales CEO, you should reach out to me because I can show you how to do that. I can show you how to double your income in 90 days revenue. If you're coachable, if you can learn, if you can listen, if you can take action. I don't work with people that don't take action. Period. If you are a lazy ass, I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to take your money and you're not coming into my group. Why? Because you're going to ruin the experience of everyone else. And I don't work that way. You don't align with me and I don't align with you. So you got to have integrity when we're talking about working with other people and trading services for money. If somebody doesn't align with you or you get a bad feeling, don't work with them, dude. It's simple. It's very simple. So oh, what's going on with my smoke today? My cigar's going out. So guys, listen. At the end of the day, if your company is struggling, it may or may not be your sales team. It may or may not be the sales. Probably is the sales because that's what drives business. But I'd have you think for a second, maybe it's your systems and processes or the lack thereof. Maybe you don't have any systems and processes. Maybe you don't use a CRM. Maybe you don't have an amazing marketing person. We have a company called Automated Deals. The deal with that is we book appointments for solar people. Simple as that. You don't pay us till you go to the appointment. But when you go to the appointment, the money's ours. And it's your job to close it. Now, if you suck at closing, you should probably hire me for that as well. Either way, it's an end-to-end system that will take care of literally your marketing, your appointments, your sales, everything. So with that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the other side.